Welcome to the AI for Church Social Media Workshop. My name is Jonathan Malm. I'm one of the co-founders of Sunday Social. I mostly create a lot of the content we make for Sunday Social, deciding what our designers are going to design, and I am really into AI. So we decided I would be the best one to teach this course. The course is going to be about an hour and 16 minutes. It'll be broken up into 5 different sessions. There's a little break in between each one if you want to pause it, or if you just want to binge through it, you'll be fine to do that. But tune in. I hope you'll get a lot from this. Thank you so much for being a part of this workshop. So let's dive right in. I remember I was working at a church a few years ago, quite a few years ago, and I had been assigned a summer intern. Now, I was excited because I'd never had an intern, and I felt like I was already drowning in work. I had so many things I wanted to do, and it was so exciting to be able to get someone to be able to hand off some of my duties to. So this intern shows up, and I got a little bit ambitious at first. I, again, had never worked with a summer intern. I had never had someone work for me yet, only in volunteer capacity, but not someone like in the office regularly working for me. And I assigned him probably a task that I should have done myself. It was some design work. I underestimated how skillful I was at design, how good I was at design. So he came back to me and just completely failed the assignment. So then, okay, well, I have to give this guy something to do. So I gave him something a little bit easier. I had him organize my emails or my calendar. It was something like that. It was something kind of administrative, but it still required a lot of intelligence. And consequently, he came back and he still had failed the task miserably. Finally, I gave him something super simple to do. It was something to do with making copies. And what infuriated me, not at him, but at just the situation, was that he messed that up as well. I had started with something really ambitious, and then I'd started with something really simple, and it still didn't help me in any way. In fact, what I found in that summer was that having an intern actually created a lot more work for me because I had to give him very clear instructions. I had to really set things up for him to be able to do exactly what I wanted him to do. It would have been easier if I had just done it myself. That's what I felt. I was like, I should have just done this myself. I shouldn't have accepted the intern. And it was quite frustrating until I started to get toward the end of the summer, and all that work that I'd done to train him on certain things started to pay off. And he started to do some really good work. In fact, he started to do some pretty ambitious work toward the end of the summer. And I was like, man, I wish I could have had that at the beginning, because now I'm about to lose this person that I fully trained, that I showed exactly what I wanted, that I gave him all the skills that he needed to be able to do this thing. I gave him all the knowledge that he needed. And I wished I would have been able to have that at the start of the summer instead of the end. Because what happened is it took me more work. Whenever he left, I missed him because he'd already learned the things, but the entire time leading up to that end time, I felt frustrated, I felt overworked, I felt like this is not a good use of my time because I have to teach him so well how to think like I think. So, summer intern, why am I telling you about this? Because this is, I think, the right way to look at artificial intelligence, at AI. That's ChatGPT, that's Claude, that's Gemini, whatever you want to use for your AI agent or for your LLM, your large language model, whatever it's called, whatever you're wanting to use in this session for using AI for church social media, it requires a lot of teaching. It requires a lot of investment of time to be able to teach them to think like you think. So I'll tell you right now, if you're hoping for easy answers from this workshop, it's not so easy, because really, I think a lot of times what we want AI to do for us is we want it to do the ambitious parts of our job, the creative thinking, again, because if you work in a church, you have so many things on your plate. You have to do social media. At my church, I was doing social media, I was doing website, I was doing graphic design, I was leading worship, I was in charge of the tech team. I had all of these plates that I was spinning, and all of them required my creative energy and my relational energy. And I was just wanting to get some things off my plate, right? And I'm believing that probably that's why you came to this workshop, that you have a lot of plates spinning right now, and you're just trying to get AI to help you with one of them, or to ease some of the burden. And I want to tell you it can, but we have to treat AI like a summer intern, meaning if we're going to get it to do some ambitious projects, and we can get AI to do some ambitious projects, we have to spend the time initially to train the AI, to tell it to think like we think, to even sometimes evaluate why we do the things that we do, so that then we can properly communicate that to AI. And there's some tips and tricks that I'll give you in this workshop that will help you hopefully do that a little bit easier than maybe you would do for a real summer intern. But it's important that we think of AI like a summer intern, because a summer intern, again, really, really excels at menial tasks, at repetitive tasks, at maybe tasks that don't require a lot of thinking, but a lot of like structure and organization and systems. AI excels at that. AI can do creative work, but here's the thing about all of that, and this is what you do with a summer intern. You trust them with ambitious projects, but you check over every single thing that they do. You don't trust that they're doing their job correctly because they don't have the training you do. They don't have the skin in the game that you do. If they fail, it doesn't really affect them that much. It affects you, though, because their work is a reflection of you. So I'm talking about if you're using AI for anything theological, you need to verify that AI is not coming up with its own theological ideas. You need to verify that the information that it's sharing is true. I know I use AI in a lot of app building and in a lot of like website building, and I have it build a landing page for me. I did it for one of my podcasts, and it just made up stuff about my podcast that was not even true. And it put it on the homepage as if this was like, this is what you're going to get by listening to this podcast. And it confidently asserted that was true. And I had to read over every single thing that it came up with. And ultimately what I did was just say, hey, this is what I want you to say about my podcast. Don't say anything else. Just say this. I couldn't trust it to come up with a description on my own because it didn't really know. And it will largely just try to make you happy. It'll try to just, I sometimes, so summer intern is one of the ways that I talk about AI. Another thing that I compare it to is that like that kid in your college course that you were paired up with for a group project, and like he delivers you his part of the project with such confidence that he killed it, that he nailed the job, and then you read it, you're like, this is not what I assigned you. This is not what the teacher assigned us. You completely missed the assignment. You completely missed the homework, and you confidently spit out this garbage. And sometimes AI will do that. It is extremely confident in what it does, but it's not always very good at it. So we're going to teach you some of the pitfalls of working with AI, what it's good at, what it's not good at, and that's going to set up all of our conversation as we get into this workshop today. So I hope this is really helpful for you. I have been spending a ton of time with AI. I work in a co-working space, and like everyone knows me as the Claude guy. Claude is the AI agent that I like to use. I use Claude Code. I have built apps with it. I have built we're actually redoing the whole Sunday Social website with Claude Code. It is extremely powerful. I built games with it. I've got the vision for Claude, and I'm using it so much, but I'm really careful to only use it for things that it's good at. AI is really good at some things, not really good at other things. More importantly, I have to realize what I am uniquely gifted at, and I have to make sure that I'm not giving that to AI. AI should not take the core of the value that we provide as human beings. So whatever your pastor hired you to do or is asking you to do as a volunteer, it's because they see something in you that is unique, that is God-given, that is irreplicable. And if we try to assign that to AI, first of all, we're cheating ourselves because we're not getting better at it. We're letting AI do the work. We're not having to learn. We're not having to push against the boundaries of what we're trying to accomplish with this unique skill that we have. But we're also stealing from our pastor because our pastor trusted us with the job. And then we're stealing from just the church, just the body of Christ in general, because we're not bringing our unique gifts to the table. God's uniquely gifted each of us, and it's so important that we invest that gift, that we use that gift. In the parable of the talents, the wicked and lazy servant was the person who did not grow their gift. We want to talk about talent in the literal sense, right? It's not talking about talents, but the idea that he did not grow his gift. He did not invest his gift. He just let time do the work. Hey, I'm just gonna save this. I'm gonna let the other people invest it, right? And I think that's so often what we do with AI is we give it the more unique things that should be done. Like, hey, come up with this really cool social media post for me, or come up with this graphic for me. And I feel like that is a cheat of ourselves and the church. And so I want to encourage you, make sure that you embrace the thing that God uniquely gifted you with. Don't give that to AI to do, because anyways, I won't harp on that anymore. But here's the thing. So let's talk over, we talked about checking over the work, but the first thing that we do with AI, things to avoid with AI, is that we don't trust it to write unless you guide it. So here's the thing. I got this text from someone the other day. He's been sending me these texts every month or so. He's just trying to encourage me. He's ultimately trying to sell me something or trying to work with me on something, right? I know that that's what's going on. But he sent me a text the other day. It was maybe a paragraph long, and I saw all the telltale signs that it was written by AI. He was trying to encourage me. It was kind of like a mini devotional he was sending me, and I saw all the telltale signs, and I was like, oh my gosh, this looks so bad for the guy, because he's trying to encourage me. He's trying to bring value to my life. But to me, that almost was insulting, that I'm like, you didn't even bother to write something specifically for me. You didn't even put the effort into communicating something that you really wanted to communicate to me. And it actually hurt his case, or it hurt what he was trying to do more than helping what he was trying to do. So if we're letting AI write and we're not guiding it on how to write, there will be so many people, and people are becoming more and more savvy to this, that will see that and will just be insulted by it. So we need to be very careful. And here's some of the telltale signs. AI loves to talk in groups of 3. So we'll see you this Sunday, bring a friend, and show up with a friendly face, right? If you ask it to write 2 paragraphs, it'll probably give 3 lists of 3 in those 2 paragraphs. This is a super common thing it just defaults to. It also, especially on social media, it is emoji overkill. It will put an emoji between each sentence. It will put 3 emojis in a row. And the emojis don't add value. It'll be like a white heart. We can't wait to see you this Sunday, white heart. And what is the purpose of that white heart? It's just noise. And AI will do that a lot. They will use hashtags, again, on captions. They will use hashtags like crazy. And if you know anything about social media, for the last, I think, year now, even the CEO of Instagram has told us that hashtags are dead. Hashtags are not going to help you get reach, by and large. There are some exceptions, but by and large, hashtags are not of value. And when we use social media, or when we use AI to write social media content for us, they're going to go crazy on the hashtags, and those are telltale signs. And this is the worst thing. And here's the next one, and this is the worst thing. M dash. The M dash is that long dash line. So it's God didn't make you just to survive, M dash. He made you to thrive. AI, especially Claude, ChatGPT is getting a little bit better with this, uses the M dash ridiculously so much. And so sometimes I will just tell it to rewrite it without an M dash, and that alone will make it a lot better. But M dash is crazy. Another thing that it does is it says, it's not this, it's that. It's not that God wants you to suffer, it's that God wants you to enjoy life the way he designed it, right? That would be a structural sentence that AI would build for you. And it does it over and over and over again. Again, we write like that normally. That is a normal writing technique to kind of compare and contrast, right? AI does this overkill. It does this so much. And it can be a telltale sign whenever you see it so frequently It's a telltale sign. It will also use words. I know there are certain words that have been discovered that like AI uses like 90% more than the average human, right? Like there are certain words that are telltale signs. Another thing, and this is especially bad whenever you try to make it right funny content, is it, first of all, is not funny. AI really struggles with humor. Like it really struggles with humor. But a lot of what it does is it does exaggeration. So I was having it write this kind of like choose your own adventure game for me, just as a preliminary thing. But it's like, it wasn't a regular diaper. It was one of those diapers that makes your eyes water when you do this. Like it kind of tried to exaggerate it, and it did it in that format. It's not this. It was one of those that, and it tried to like kind of build layers of exaggeration on top of it. Super dramatic. That's not how modern humor works, really. Again, you use that one time maybe in like a book or two times in a book, but you don't use that so often like AI does. AI harps on that like crazy. That's its only move when it comes to humor. Another thing is contractions. I cannot go to the store. Nobody talks like that. I can't go to the store. We use contractions. AI will often not use contractions. Even if you tell it to write like friendly, casual language, it will often not use contractions. Again, all of these things are changing as new models are released every like 2 or 3 months, it seems like now. All of these things are changing. So, but the key is to understand these models, to understand their weaknesses, and to teach them how to write if you're going to get them to write for you. Another thing is to vary the sentence length. Again, it tends to do the, it's not this, it's this. And all of their sentence lengths are around the same size. So a simple thing you can do is just say, hey, vary your sentence length. Some should be short, some should be long. Same thing with paragraphs, because that's how we talk. That was a short sentence, but now this is going to be a long sentence. I always vary my sentence length. That's the way normal, engaging writers and speakers talk. We vary things because we have a short thought and then we have a long thought, and that's the way that humans communicate. Large language models do not communicate that way. And then another thing that you need to be worried about, or need to be aware of, is that sometimes, especially when we're talking about social media can kind of sound sort of boss girly, where it's like, I can't wait to see you this Sunday, like a little bit over enthusiastic, a little bit like not genuine, a little bit like too hypey and not realistic. And sometimes for a lot of churches, I know a lot of churches on social media, that's their social media manager, and that's how they talk on social media. So, I mean, it makes sense that AI would do this because AI is studying human behavior and trying to replicate it. And since the majority of social media posts and social media gurus online are kind of the boss girly girls, that's how it talks. But you need to be aware that if that's not how your church communicates, AI is going to default to that unless you give it clear vision on how it's supposed to talk. So tell AI how to speak. Tell AI how to write. You need to be very clear with that. And we'll give you some strategies on how to do that. Also, don't use it to be lazy. This is another pitfall. I would rather not use social media than go into social media without a plan. And again, if I asked AI for a social media post right now, here, let's do it. Let's go ahead and ask ChatGPT. Let's pretend that I've never used AI before. That's what this temporary chat function does in ChatGPT. And I'm going to ask it to make a social media post for my church. Make a social media post for my church. I'm not going to give it any instructions. I'm going to say, I don't know what to post on social media. I'm doing this very lazily. And with those few words, it's already made a social media post for me. And now you'll notice that we'll see all the telltale signs. We'll see tons of tags, hashtags. We'll see tons of emojis that have no purpose. Come as you are. Everyone is welcome. Like none of those emojis make sense for this post. You'll see our grouping of 3, experience heartfelt worship, an encouraging message, and loving community that welcomes you with open arms. No matter what your work week look like, there's a place for you here. That kind of like structure. This is all the telltale signs, and this is going to be a highly ineffective social media post. But instead, if we can be a little bit more intentional with it, we can start crafting a much more effective social media post. So now what we would instead say is, what are we trying to accomplish with the social media post? Let me tell you, as a social media expert, I have built a large following for my social media. We've built a large following for Sunday social media. All of the people on our teams have built followings on social media. These invitation type posts don't work because A, either it's already going to the people who already follow you and already attend your church, or B, it's going to people that largely are not even in your community, not even in your city, that will see this social media post and not be able to even act on it. So invitation posts are not necessarily the best thing to do. Instead, what I like to try to focus on is discipleship posts. Discipleship type posts where like, how can we encourage someone today? How can we give them value? So instead, what I might do is I might say, hey, create a discipleship-oriented social media post. I want it to help someone take just one small step closer to Jesus this week. I want it to be encouraging, only 1 or 2 sentences, something that I can post on Facebook as a text-only post. Notice I'm telling it the platform that I'm going to be using it for and what the purpose is. And then here's the fun thing about AI. Give me 10 different posts. Now, this is still way too vague for what we're trying to accomplish, but it's going to give us a much better quality post. Faith grows one small yes at a time. What's one thing you can say yes to Jesus about today, right? If you're feeling distant from God, remember that one prayer can be the beginning to fresh season with Him. Jesus is inviting you to perfection. So here's the classic, like, Jesus isn't asking for perfection. He's inviting your presence. So that's it's not this, it's this, and then separated by an M dash. Telltale sign, M dash. Telltale sign. It just loves formatting posts this way. So we have to be careful. Again, these are things that people will see and be like, that was an AI generated social media post. So we just need to start telling it to, okay, get rid of M dashes. Vary your sentence length. Now, the nice thing is, since we said that this is a Facebook text-only post, it's not creating hashtags, because whenever this model was created, hashtags on Facebook were not largely encouraged. So it's not even doing that. So we don't need to worry about that so much. And it's not using emojis, again, because I said text-only. If I would have said a Facebook post, it probably would have included a lot of emojis. But now get rid of M dashes. And so you can even start tweaking the things. Okay, I did like this post, but hey, can you tweak it for me? I don't like the way you said that. Say it this way. You can vary what is generated for you, or you can just create a really solid prompt, and we're going to help you do that in future sessions. A really solid prompt that will give you good quality content in the first place. So, third thing that we want to avoid. The first thing was don't trust it to write unless you guide it. Don't use it to be lazy. And the third one is graphics. Right now, AI is horrible at graphics. It can create graphics, and it's gotten better with like the weird like misspellings and like the 6 fingers that it'll sometimes give people. It's gotten better with that. But AI graphics are very recognizable. There are people who, I notice it. My kid's school uses AI for graphics. I notice immediately that they're AI graphics, and it makes me, it makes it feel cheap. It makes it feel like, it's hard to explain. There's just this growing hate for AI graphics on social media and online and just in the world in general. And that is not going away. The hate is going to get stronger as more and more people recognize it. So I just want to encourage you, stay away from using AI for graphic design. And then finally, here's a really important thing you need to know about AI, and this is one of the major pitfalls of AI, is that it is based on information that was gathered often 6 to 8 months ago. The current most cutting-edge model of Claude, which is again the one that I use, was trained on information not later than January 2026. It's now July when we're watching this session, or when I'm recording the session. And so that's 6 months old data. Now, that's bad enough as it is with social media, especially because social media changes so often. But you have to remember that a lot of those blog posts are not necessarily written in 2026 or 2025. They were written in 2020. They were written in 2018. Moreover, a lot of the blog posts that are out there that are telling you how to use social media effectively are written by people who don't know how to use social media effectively. 95% of the blogs you find out online about social media will tell you things that have been proven to not work. Or they're things that are just super trite, that are not actually effective. Like everyone is doing these things, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're effective. So we have this problem with the sum of the information on social media, again, especially with social media, that AI will not be able to know what is the best approach. So you have to train it on what the best approach is. I remember I was building this really cool tool. I'll talk to you about it in our advanced session. But I was building this tool that was going to post as trial reels for me. And I was getting Claude Code to build something for me, and it's like, I can't do that. And I knew that it could do that because I'd just seen the announcement from Instagram that outside apps could now post as trial reels. But it just happened a week ago. And so I had to find the Instagram API, which is their the way that apps interface with Instagram. I had to find that API documentation and feed it into Claude and said, actually, you can do it. Here's how you do it. And of course said, oh, you're so right. I didn't realize I didn't have access to that new data. I'll evaluate how to do this now. So I had to tell it what it could do because it was using outdated information. So it's important that we realize that AI is largely using outdated information, and we have to be careful. So this is our setup on how we're going to use AI effectively. The next session we're going to be doing is how to use AI to generate content ideas. A content calendar. How to use AI to generate a content calendar, and we'll get into that in a second. I need a break, so I'll see you in a bit. All right, we're back. Now we're going to be talking about how to use AI to help you create a social media calendar. So this one is less about AI and maybe a little bit more philosophical about what your church should be posting on social media, what makes for a good social media calendar. But again, this is foundational to be able to get good content from your AI. AI is really good at figuring out things on its own. Models have gotten so advanced that it's more about you setting up AI to give you good information than about AI being able to figure out how to get good information once it's ready to go. So here are probably the 3 things that I would encourage you to do to get AI to help you create a social media calendar. First of all, get rid of the on Monday we post this, on Tuesday we post this, on Wednesdays we wear pink, whatever it is that you do. I know this is the standard approach to social media calendars for churches. On Monday we post a sermon clip. On Tuesday we post a verse of the day. On Wednesday we post a reel. On Thursday we post, we have kind of this model. They're great frameworks to help us figure out what to post. But they're not great frameworks to have effective content on social media. Obviously, I understand if you have an event coming up and you need to use social media to promote it, that you need Tuesday's an announcement post, Thursday is an announcement post, Saturday is maybe a reminder to come to church. I get that. I understand that there's an ideal of what I'm trying to pitch to you, and there's what your pastor or what your leadership or just what the church calendar requires of you. I understand that, but I want to try to help you be effective. And I think we can use AI to help us be more effective on social media by telling it specifically what we're looking for. So first of all, I would encourage you, don't promote events. So instead of doing that, hey, we have women's small group coming up this Wednesday night, right? We make that graphic. It's guaranteed to bomb. If you look at the insights on the last few graphics that you've posted about a women's small group, even a reel that you've posted announcing about a women's small group, unless you use some of those viral hooks I get, but for the most part, our announcement posts don't perform well on social media because they're ads, and ads don't get engagement. And I've talked about this in emails, I've talked about this in other workshops, but a much more effective way to promote an event is to address what felt need that event is going to solve. So the felt need would be women feeling disconnected, or women, maybe young moms who only get a chance to talk to their kids. They don't have adult conversations. They don't get to have adult conversations. That's a dreadful felt need that a women's small group can meet, right? Or Their husbands just don't connect with them in that emotional way. Whatever it is that you want to say is the felt need that women's small group meets. And I'm sorry for all the stereotypes I just threw out there, but whatever it is, the felt need that you feel like it needs, what you do is then you create a video, you create a reel, or you create a carousel post that pokes, that jabs your finger into that felt need. I often call it a bleeding wound. Or the best thing you can do is, I was just feeling that way, or that's always frustrated me, or I was just talking about that, or I thought I was the only one who experienced that. You want to acknowledge those wounds, those gaping wounds that people have in them, and you just want to put your finger on it. The reason you put your finger on it is it often makes it funny because, wow, like I thought I was the only one. That's so funny. I'm not alone. It makes them feel like they're connected. I'm not alone. And it makes them feel understood. And whenever people feel understood, they trust you. If you feel like someone understands you, you trust them much more. And it becomes a much more effective invite. So what I do whenever I work with sponsored posts or whenever I'm launching a new product is I don't even talk about the product. I don't even talk about my product or the product someone else is doing. Instead, what I do is I talk about the felt need in my post. I make a reel. So I launched this sermon note-taking app that creates devotionals for you based on your own sermon notes and based on the transcription of the pastor's sermon and based on things that stood out to you. It basically it's really cool. Sorry to nerd out. It takes all of that stuff and creates a devotional specifically about that. It doesn't kind of come up with its own ideas. It literally just sticks to the sermon and to things that really stood out to you, right? It creates a 7-day devotional so that you can really work out your faith, work out the sermon throughout the week, right? Like that's what that product does that I created. It's on the App Store. Anyways, what I did is I didn't say, hey, I made this new product that does this, X, Y, Z, or whatever. Instead, what I did is I made videos that were about, whenever you are on a Tuesday morning and you're trying to remember that thing that was life-changing from Sunday, but you can't even remember it. That's one of those like, oh yeah, the sermon was so good, but I don't even remember what it was about. That's one of those felt needs. Or another one I did was, when you're talking to your pastor, you'd be like, man, Sunday's sermon was so good, pastor. And then they ask you, oh, what specifically did you like about it? And then that feeling of like, oh, I don't even remember what the sermon was about, right? Like those are felt needs. Those are pain points. Those are gaping wounds that people can acknowledge. Like, I thought I was the only one, or I've definitely experienced that. And that makes it much more effective. I don't even talk about the app in the videos. Instead, what I do is in the captions, I say, hey, I actually created something to help solve this. Boom. And immediately get into the sales pitch there. But I've already established trust. I've already established that I understand them. I've already gotten past this is an ad, to now like, this person understands me. This is the kind of content I want to see on social media. This is about myself. And it's going to make it much more effective. So instead, what I would say is, hey, we have, hey, ChatGPT, we have a men's group coming up. These are the main things that men's group solves. Could you come up with some felt needs, or could you come up with some like really relatable experiences that men that need this solution will experience? So that's what I would do. I would go on ChatGPT and I would say, we have a men's group coming up. The men's group is primarily going to be for men who feel like, what would be the felt need? And this is where, again, I've told you not to be lazy with it. This is where the work comes into place, is you have to figure out why should someone actually come to the men's group? I feel like they don't have any male friends. They mostly just hang out with their wife and kids and don't know how to connect with men apart from sports on anything that truly matters. Could you come up with some universal while highly specific experiences that men like this would have had in their daily life? This is maybe how I would start this conversation with AI. So you get home from work, park in the driveway, and sit in your truck for 5 or 10 minutes. You're not avoiding your family. You're just trying to prepare yourself to switch from employee to husband and father. Oh my gosh, that is such a good idea for a video to talk about, hey, if you've ever experienced this, we have a men's group for you. The text that never gets sent. Hey, texting another guy, hey, want to go grab coffee? Wonderful. The friendship that disappeared quietly. One day you realize you haven't talked to your friend in 6 months, then a year, then 3 years. There wasn't a fight. Life just happened, and somehow nobody reached out. These are gold right here, and it's because we set up a great framework of content that we're trying to create, that we're trying to get from social media. It's not church-centric, it's person-centric. It's about our followers. And the cool thing about the algorithm, again, I've talked about this on our emails, is the algorithm is great at finding the people that this video will connect with. So this video will probably not show up to teenagers or maybe not show up to women, but like it finds out that the people that most engage with this are guys that are a certain type of guy, right? And it's going to find its audience. So you can create very specific moments like this, a video that has a very specific moment to it, and it's going to find the right people. So this is the first thing that I would do is I would say, instead of like, hey, we have this sermon series. Our sermon series is about overcoming unforgiveness, right? Or forgiving, right? So I would talk about forgiveness, and maybe each week I would say, let's focus on a different aspect of forgiveness, especially if you have your pastor's sermon notes, you can figure out exactly what they're going to be talking about. So you can really get these like felt needs. You can get AI to help you come up with these. And it does a pretty decent job of it. Again, if you set up the prompt, if you set up the framework correctly, if you do the hard work of explaining what it is you're really wanting AI to give you. AI is phenomenal at it. So next, let's say you don't know what your pastor's talking about. Let's say there's just, we're talking about the book of Romans, and it's hard to anticipate what pastor's really going to get out of the book of Romans. Another thing you can do is whenever you're creating your social media calendar, is you can say, hey, I'm trying to create a calendar for the month of December. What are some felt needs that everyone experiences in December? So that's what I would do next. I'm trying to create social media content for the month of December. What are some felt, visceral, emotional, and spiritual needs that people tend to experience in the month of December? And I'm just looking for like those feelings, right? So belonging, grief, the pressure to feel joyful, that's a really good one. Loneliness, financial anxiety, comparison, regret, fatigue. You can choose which one of these. Nostalgia is a good one. You can choose which ones you want to work with, and then you go back up to the top here saying, I'm trying to come up with social media posts for the month of December. I want you to focus on these topics. What are some universal while highly specific experiences that people in a church would have had in their daily life? And you can get really great content by doing that. So again, these are some things to kind of help you. It's less about, hey, we got to post a sermon clip on Monday. We got to post an announcement on Tuesday. We got to post a sermon on Wednesday, or a scripture on Wednesday. It's more about how can we create content that connects with people, that people say, that's so me, or I've felt that, or I've experienced it, or I thought that I was the only one. And here's the final thing. And this is, we talked about, how to tell AI to really think like you. Is one of the most exciting things you can do is you can just talk to AI. In fact, this is, especially when creating a program, whenever I'm brainstorming a program, I just do verbal dumps. I'll go on a walk and I'll talk to AI for 10 minutes, nonstop, just explaining everything that I want. And that's going to be a really effective way to set up some of these prompts. So instead of, setting up your prompt this way, what I would do is, let's start a new chat here. I would say, I'm gonna temporary chat again. So I'm doing temporary chat, so it doesn't pull in anything that it already knows about me. So it really has to figure out, like, this is if you're starting from scratch on AI, it's going to be like this, where it doesn't know anything about you, anything about what you wanted to accomplish on social media or what you want to accomplish using AI, and it's gonna have to try to figure you out. So it does learn you more and more as you use it. So there's some hope there that, again, like a summer intern, it gets better as you use it. It gets better as you train it, but you do have to train it. So what I'll do is I'll just dictate what I am trying to do. And what I would say is maybe instead say, I'm trying to get a social media calendar for my church, but I want you to help me create a prompt that is going to get me a good social media calendar. I don't care about posting, a sermon clip one day. I don't care about what type of content that's posted. Instead, I'm more focusing on how to connect with people on a visceral and real level. I want to be able to post content that makes them feel like, oh man, I thought I was the only one who experienced that, or oh, I just felt that the other day, or I just experienced that, or my friend experienced that, or yeah, that's been frustrating me a lot. I want content that does that. So for the social media calendar, instead of here, post a sermon clip or post a scripture, I'm wanting to post content that really connects with people on a deep level. I don't know what the sermon topic is going to be about for December, but I'm trying to create it for December. Instead, what I want to do is I maybe want to focus on some real felt needs that most everyone experiences in December, especially with the holidays coming up, with Christmas. I want to, talk about nostalgia or just really evoke nostalgia in people. I want to talk about the feelings of loneliness, even whenever you're surrounded by family, or the financial pressure to give things that you maybe don't have the money to give, or just the stress of it, or maybe when people are driving angry and it's really frustrating. So I want to include all that information, but I also want to include content that leads up to pushing people to attend our Sunday services and invite their friends. So can you come up with a prompt that will help me get a social media calendar from you by deploying that? So then I just do that. So now I'm going to see what it comes up for me. Here's a prompt that shifts AOI from thinking like a church communication director and toward thinking like storyteller, psychologist, and pastor. So it'll tell you what you're asking for. So I want you to act as a world-class social media strategist, behavioral, blah, 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 blah. Do not recommend generic content like post a sermon clip. Create a social media calendar for the month of December for a local church. The calendar should be built around felt needs, emotions, relatable experiences rather than church activities. I thought it was the only one. It just gives us the whole framework. We just dumped all of our ideas. I think this is actually more content than I even gave it. Again, AI will hallucinate if we're not careful. But I can then use this prompt to create my social media calendar for the month. So I'll just say run that prompt and give me something for every day. Now, another pro tip is you can say, ask me clarifying questions to help me get the best results possible. So now we tell it to ask questions, and it's going to ask questions and actually get much better results because it's asking the right questions. I want to gather a few details instead of a generic one. So it's either thinking, go for it. Sometimes it gets hung up. Perfect. You'll start with reasons, especially the kinds of. So it didn't ask me. Sometimes that will happen. So you'd be like, hey, go back and ask me. But December 1, I already feel behind. Is it just me, or did December start 15 minutes ago and somehow you're already behind? So it's giving us a social media calendar. Instagram makes everyone else's Christmas look effortless. So this is real good quality content that you can create on social media, a much more effective social media post than just like a scripture. But here's the cool thing is you can actually tie this in with the scripture. Comparison is the idea. So there are verses about comparison. There's a verse about, minding your own business. So we can use all of this content to come up with really great stuff. So this is how I'd recommend you create a social media calendar with AI. Again, you can bring those things in. Hey, every Monday I want to do a reel, or every Monday I want to do a sermon clip. But use this to create a much more robust and much more effective, much more emotionally charged social media calendar for you. And you're going to find AI works a lot better for you. So that was that session. Next session we're going to do is using AI to generate content ideas. And there's some really cool stuff we're going to get into. So we'll see you then. All right, we are now in session 3 of our AI for Church social media content workshop. I hope this is helpful for you so far. Now we're going to be talking about using AI to generate content ideas. So we've already kind of dipped into it a little bit, but this will be some really specific things that you can use to get much better results, some much better frameworks. There's going to be some downloads associated with this session in particular because there's some prompts that we use that I use to create carousel posts specifically. But so first of all, the first thing that I want to tell you, and this is like such a hack. This is what a lot of the AI like sermon clip companies do. A lot of the like AI companies do is they do this specifically. Is you can, once you've uploaded your sermon clip on YouTube or Vimeo, you can download a transcript of that. once you download the transcript of your sermon, you can then put that into Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever AI you use, and you can ask it to mine for quotes. You can ask it to mine for topics, for felt needs, for anything. You can use that as your basis for coming up with social media content. What you could do, which would be really cool, is you could just, instead of waiting for maybe your tech team to put the sermon clip on video by Tuesday, you can just record it on your phone. Have it transcribed. There are transcription programs on your phone that you can just record the sermon and use that. So on Sunday at 10:15, when your pastor is doing the altar call or the prayer at the end of service, you can upload that into Claude or ChatGPT and say, hey, start creating content for me already. Because if you're doing what I'm going to be suggesting in this session, it can already create the framework that it's going to have used to evaluate that transcript to create content for you for the next week. So there's some really cool things you can do to create content, but that's one of the first, that's the first hack that I would encourage you. I do this all the time. I'll do this with my books. I did a quiz for one of my books where it's one of my books is about burnout. It's back there. Don't burn out, burn bright. It's how to avoid burning out, right? And so for us, there are these 10 pillars of health that you have that if you focus on these 10 pillars of health, you're going to avoid burning out, right? So the quiz is showing you hey, which of these 10 areas are you most at risk for burning out? Really cool quiz. I built it in Claude, built it in AI. But then I said, hey, I'm going to upload my whole book into Claude and then say, hey, can you come up with a 7-day devotional for each of these 10 pillars? So basically it took each chapter and turned it into a 7-day devotional to kind of help people work on that thing, that area of their life where they need the most help to avoid burning out, right? Super cool, but it just took this wealth of content, and then I told it, hey, don't come up with your own ideas. Stick with this. Just dive through all this content, grab a story here, grab a verse here, grab something here. I kind of gave it this format of on day 1, I want it to be a story. Day 2, I want it to be a verse that really talks about this. Day 3, I want it to be, and I gave it this structure of what I was trying to get from my book into this other format. Worked really effectively. Again, I had to fix some em dashes, I had to fix some writing, but the content piece of it, which was, 70 emails, it knocked it out in about 5 minutes for me. So really cool what you can do if you just pull in content and let it sift through it and find the gold for you. So that's the first hack for you, is pulling your transcript. And then the next thing, and this is a big one, is set up projects. Now here's the thing. I think projects are a premium tier product. So if you're not paying for ChatGPT, if you're not paying for Claude, if you're not paying for Gemini, whatever tool you want to use, it's worth doing. They're $20 a month. And the things that I'll show you in some of the advanced sessions is well worth the $20. So it is worth investing in this. If you can't do this, then what I would do is I would just create a note and just put these prompts in here. And every time you start a new chat, I would just copy and paste these prompts into here. It's a little bit more work, but that is possible. So projects. What projects lets you do is you can create a project that is, social media content for my church, or captions for my church, or carousel posts for my church. You can name it, you can describe the project. So let's say captions for my church social media content. You can also add a folder. What's really cool is in this folder you can put MD files, which are just markdown files. They're really just text-only posts, or text-only files that have the clear instructions to say, hey, don't use em dashes, vary your sentence length, don't use hashtags, don't overuse emojis, or use these specific emojis, and we'll talk about that. You give it these very clear instructions of what the framework is that you're trying to limit AI to use. Really cool that you can do that. And then I don't have access to the project. That doesn't make any sense. That was weird. That's a weird bug. We'll need to talk to Claude about that. But so it will have a memory here of the different chats that you've come up with. And then you can start giving it the instructions. So for my content idea, don't use hashtags, only stick to a few emojis. I will tell it what emojis it should be using. Blah, 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 blah. I set up the overall project instructions, and that's kind of creates the framework. And then for each caption, you can say, hey, I want this caption to be inviting. So then once that's done, you say, now I want captions only inviting people to Sunday service. It should be different every single week. It should focus on the life that you experience in church. So then I would create this one chat that's specifically about captions for inviting people to church. Now I have this chat ready to go, and I can rename it whatever I want. And then I can start a new chat. So say, now this one I want to, so now it'd be like, create captions that are specifically about Bible verses we post to our feed. I want to comment on the Bible verse and look for ways it can be applied to people's lives personally. Don't reference other verses. Again, you're trying to create this framework of like, hey, don't do this. I know you're probably going to think this way. Don't think this way. And again, we're just trying to teach AI to think the way that we think. So I would do this. And now we have, in our project, it's really cool. We have 2 different chats, 2 different approaches to creating captions for our posts. Now, what's really cool is I did this for our for Sunday Social. When I come up with carousel ideas for Sunday Social, again, we came up with 1 carousel post idea a day. That is a lot on top of the other content that we're creating. This is just for Sunday Social. And then I create content for myself. Our whole team creates content for themselves. So we needed to come up with a way to get ideas for this. So I have a project in here called Carousel Content for Sunday Social. A few months ago, I came up with these 12 templates for carousel posts that I wanted to be able to use. They each have different names. They have kind of an example, and they are what we use to come up with. So whenever I have, single thought. So here's my prompt for single thought. Carousel template I make is called the single thought template. It's just a statement that I visualize in multiple different ways. First, they'll call you cringy, then you'll call it creative, or his love endures forever. It should be a unique statement that has quotability power, really pithy, and it can follow the same outline of content types that I offered in other templates. Because it understands it kind of has context for everything. Can you make a carousel post based on this template? So let's do options for Thanksgiving Day. So now it gave me a bunch of options. Gratitude is just remembering you were never the source. Thanksgiving isn't feeling you wait for, it's posture you choose, right? So it's like, it's coming up with content specifically based on the topic that I give to it. So targeted prayer. Here's one that I set up. You give people a prayer over a few slides that can pray about a certain topic. It can be event specific, like back to school, Father's Day, or it can be based on a certain topic, like the list I've already given you. Can you come up with a template based on a topic you choose? Keep the language smooth flowing, alternate long and short sentences, let it feel like something someone would naturally pray out loud, and then don't use em dashes. So a prayer for anxiety, when anxiety won't let go. Father, my mind is loud right now. The worries keep circling. I can't seem to quiet them on my own. Really great. I want to trust you. Help me lay down the weight I keep picking back up. A lot of this still kind of clunky writing. I will rewrite this specifically, but this gives me a framework for the content that I'm not having to come up with the idea initially. It's much easier to edit something that's already been written than to write something from scratch. So I will go through all 12 of these templates, and this is a document I'm going to share you. I'm going to share with you all of these prompts so that you could build this project in Claude or ChatGPT yourself if you wanted to. And then what I do is whenever I want a new one, so, hey, this one is going to be a visual representation about, so here, and I always give examples. God is here, nature, city, where, whatever. So now I want to do like forgiveness. Now it's going to come up with ideas for me for forgiveness. You're allowed to put it down. So this is the text that it's going to put, and then it's going to be a visual. You're allowed to put it down. Someone gripping their phone, rereading an old message. Visual. A fist slowly unclenching. Visual. A heavy backpack set down by a door. An empty chair when an apology never came, right? So like this doesn't work. I would probably say you're allowed to put down the grudge or the bitterness. I would probably adjust this, but then those visuals would suddenly make sense, right? So AI is not perfect. My prompt is not perfect, but it gets me 90% of the way there. So it's really cool. That's one of my favorite things to do whenever it comes to coming up with content ideas is you create a template for each specific, very laser targeted thing that you're wanting to accomplish. And what's fun is, again, you can talk to AI. So you can say, hey, I saw these 10 posts that I really liked and they felt like the same topic, or they felt like they were in the same category. Can you help me come up with a prompt for this? The posts that I liked were, and then explain the post. So if it's a real idea, because AI can't watch the reel for you, you explain what happened and explain why you liked it and explain what it did for you. And whenever you give it really great structure for the content that you liked, it can help you create content that's with a different topic. It's really great at mimicking behavior as long as it knows exactly what behavior to mimic. Here's the thing, social media or AI can't go on social media. Instagram has blocked AI crawlers from seeing social media content. And then it doesn't even see the video content whenever it does it. It can't evaluate the video content. So it is trying to learn based on what it's read from blogs. And so unless we tell it exactly what we liked, it doesn't use social media. It doesn't like comments. It doesn't like videos. It doesn't really know what social media content is. It has heard about it from people, but it doesn't really know what it is. So we have to not rely on it understanding that. We have to instead just explain it to it. Hey, this is what I really liked. This is what the video is. This is what it made me feel. Try as much as possible to explain what it is that we liked about it, and then it can come up with some really great content. So again, the key to doing this really well is to give it your voice, your pacing, and then content boundaries. You say, I don't want X, or I don't want this. Or, so for instance, one thing, there's like a bait and switch template that I have. Another carousel post I have is called bait and switch template. This is meant to be a humorous post. An example is how to steal from your church. Why did you swipe? Or reasons you shouldn't invite someone to church this Sunday, blank slide. The goal is a surprising opening slide and then an unexpected switch up on what they see on the next slide. This can follow the same topics. Can you come up with a bait and switch? So, doubt, convincing reasons to stop believing in God, blank slide. Again, it literally just thought like I thought because it's not super creative. The most effective prayer technique nobody talks about, just talk to him. So these are some like decent starting points for actually some comedic content, but I gave it the structure of what I was trying to get from it. So again, I keep harping on this. You have to do the work on the front end to really think about what you like, what you are wanting to post on social media. But when you can do that, you can use AI to get some really great material for you. So next one we're going to be talking about is using AI for captions. I'll take a quick break and I'll see you in a few seconds. All right, we're back. Now we are going to be talking about how to use AI to come up with captions. Honestly, a lot of this stuff we've already covered, but there is going to be one big hack that I think it's something that I did a little while ago, and it has paid huge dividends. So this is the coolest hack that I discovered, and it's something that can really help you tune in the voice of what you're trying to accomplish on social media. Again, if you've done social media effectively. But here's the thing. You can download your entire Instagram history. Everything that you've ever posted on social media, you can download it. What I did with this is I do an Ask Me Anything question on Mondays, and I can now tell AI to look at every question that I answered and say, hey, pull out one of those that was especially unique, that like doesn't follow the current line of thinking of people, and remind me about that. So I can have AI check out my whole history of my content, even stuff that's not even on there anymore, and it can review it. So if you want to do this, if you want to download all of your Instagram profile, what you do is you go to your profile on Instagram, you tap the hamburger menu, the little menu, and then it goes to settings and privacy. You tap accounts center, tap your information and permissions, and then download your information. Now you have to request to download, and you can specify, is it your entire history? Is it the last 90 days? Is it the last 2 years? You can decide how long you want to download. Just note, if it's your whole history, it takes a lot longer. And then you can actually download the files with it too. So another thing that I have AI do is it will every day at 7:45, with this thing that I'll talk about in our advanced topics. At 7:45, it picks 2 random reels that I posted a long time ago, more than a year ago, and it just reminds me of them. And what I can do is like, oh, that was a good idea. And I can kind of like tweak the content a little bit, or like, oh yeah, that didn't work, but it would have worked this way. It just reminds me of my posts so that I can remember and I can reuse my own content that was effective. I can reuse it to come up with more content. So it's really cool. What you can do then though with this is you can say, hey, I want you to evaluate every caption that I've ever written and figure out, come up with a prompt or come up with a voice style guide or come up with something to help me help you talk like me, create captions like I create captions. And so you can really have AI learn from you by putting all of your content into AI. And so what you do is you pick the destination, you just download it, and then JSON, JSON is the file that works best for AI. And you just upload that JSON file into there and you give it access to all those files because there'll be a bunch of like images that it'll give you access to. You put that all in there and it's honestly so cool. I've been farming my own social media content for more content and it's worked really cool. So this is kind of like the hack of like downloading your transcript of the sermon, but you're literally downloading the content of your social media. Hey, if you post primarily on Facebook, you can do this as well. But also what you can do if your social media presence is the same as your website presence, you can also have AI scrub your church website and say, hey, figure out how I write and write in that style. We actually did this with Sunday Social. We're relaunching, like I told you, we're rebuilding the site. We're relaunching a bunch of AI tools. A lot of the stuff that I've been teaching in this course, we're trying to integrate into Sunday Social already. So it just kind of automatically thinks like this. Like a lot of the AI elements will automatically do the stuff that I'm teaching you that have been very effective. And one of the things is we have it evaluate your website because it can do that. So as soon as you sign up, in our new system, when you sign up, you put in your church website, we're going to automatically evaluate your website and come up with a style guide of how to create captions for you or how to create content for you based on what we know about the way you talk. Really cool. It's just using the stuff that you already have to train AI and say, hey, talk like this, mimic this. I want you to seem exactly like I am. And it's really cool because then you can start having AI, again, it'll get you 90% of the way there. You really want to take the 10% to really make it shine. That 10% is that human part that people will connect with a lot more. But this will get you a lot of the way there. So it'll save you a lot of time. It's really cool. So a few more things. Hashtags off. Hashtags are not effective. Limit your emojis. So, I don't do the laughing crying emoji. I do the like smile with like a single tear coming down. Or if you're a little bit more Gen Z, you can do the skull face, the dead face. I pick maybe 10 emojis that I want it to use, and I say only use one emoji per caption and use it this way. Or if you're wanting to do a longer caption, say, hey, only use one emoji every 5 sentences, or only use emoji as bullet points, and only use these emojis. You can give it very clear instructions on what you should be getting from that. And then what I would do is I would craft the caption to say, hey, in the beginning, I want there to be a hook. I want something there in the first 8 words to grab someone's attention so that they read the rest of the caption. That's a really effective tool because especially on Reels, there's maybe 1 or 2 lines that are showing up in the caption. And then if you really want to give it more information, you have to get people to read the caption. So there should be something there that draws people's attention to be able to read the whole caption. So limit to certain emojis, put a hook in the beginning, and then hashtags off. Those are honestly the main things that I would say for writing, but beyond just like coming up with a style guide, get rid of em dashes, vary your sentence length. Don't do that. It's not this, it's this. But just really limit those and you're going to find you get much better captions. So this was the bulk of the using AI for social media part. But I can't leave you hanging. My favorite stuff about social media is not the ideas part. My favorite thing about social media is using it to structure my life. And I want to show you about that in the next session. I'm going to show you just some things that I've learned that AI can do. It requires the premium tiers of these plans. So you will need to invest $20 a month if you want to do these next topics. But it will revolutionize your life, I think, truly, especially your job at church. I'll show you some of the things I built, some of the things my friends have built, and really cool ideas. So stick with me on the next one. If this was all you wanted, you can tune out. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you at the next workshop. But if you really want to dive deep into AI, this next advanced topic session, the last session, is I think going to be really cool for you. So I'll take a break and I'll see you there. All right, welcome back to our last session of AI for Church Social Media, the workshop. Hey, this is the part that I'm most excited about. I'm going to teach you how to use AI to create tools, not just to create content, not just to like, hey, write an email for me or write a social media post for me. That's great. I feel like that's the least effective thing that social media, that AI can do for you. AI is super powerful when it comes to creating structure and creating tools for you. And this is where the exciting stuff is for me. This is what I spend probably 80% of my day doing, is this type of thing. So really cool. First of all, I want to tell you about Claude Code. So what's really cool is I can have an idea now that I used to hire a developer to build for me, and I can build it sometimes in about 30 minutes. And that's through a tool called Claude Code. Now this is like really intimidating looking, but it's literally just happening. So the way your computer works, you need to understand this, is your computer is visual. There's all the stuff that you're pointing and clicking on, but every time that you do something, there is a command happening in the back. There is a text command. So, whenever you download a file, it says download this file. And there's just a text thing happening in the background. It's called command line. Whenever you change directories in Finder, change directory with folder is really what it's called. Whenever you change a folder, change folder, now we're in this folder. We're looking at this folder. We're showing all of our files, right? So there's this command line. You can actually have Claude or ChatGPT working in your command line on your computer. And what that lets it do is it lets it download resources. It lets it upload stuff to the website, to the internet. It lets it like download libraries that you need. It can actually do that on your computer. Really cool. And so the way that you set this up, super simple. You just download a program called Warp or Cursor. Warp is available, I think both of them are available for Mac and PC. And then you just talk to ChatGPT or talk to Claude and say, I want to set up Warp or Cursor, whichever one you're using, to work with Claude or work with ChatGPT. Can you walk me through the steps to set that up? And literally it'll walk you through the steps. Again, it can feel intimidating to get it set up, but once it's set up, it's super powerful, the things that you can build. And again, what I've been building is just, I build like plugins, or I build apps, or I build tools that I might otherwise have to pay for or that don't exist. Some of the things that I built is I built my own ManyChat. ManyChat, if you're unfamiliar, is like the thing that like, if you're getting a recipe online, someone shows you this really delicious meal, they say comment recipe and I'll DM you the link. There's not someone DMing someone every time they comment. Those 1,000 comments they get, they're not like manually DMing every person the link. Instead, they're using a tool called ManyChat, or a tool like ManyChat, where it reads the comments and then it just automatically DMs them based on a certain comment that's received, right? So I built that for myself. It's a $25 a month program, and I built it for free, which is pretty cool. A trial reel reposter. This is something that's really fun. So what I have, again, I talked to you in a previous session, I downloaded all of my Instagram history. And then what I did is I have it, here it is. I have it coming up with 5 ideas for me every day. So this is again for my personal post, my personal brand. But so here's the 5 ideas that comes up for me, and I set up a really good structure based on like the content that I typically post. Church coffee has exactly one job, and that job is building your character. Not funny. The front row of your church has been empty since. Not funny. A lapel mic left on the sermon is how quick a bathroom break becomes a live podcast. There's a gem of funniness there. But anyways, I had it come up with 5 ideas, and then I created this cool trial reel reposter that literally what it does is it posts a video or 2 every day as a trial reel on my social media account. So first of all, with this one, the trial reel reposter, what it does is it just checks out content that's done well for me in the past, a video that's done well. And then anything that has over 100,000 views is a candidate for it. And then it lets me repost it as a trial. Trial reels, if you're not familiar, only go to my non-followers, people who don't follow me. So I can repost old content that did well for me with my followers to people that have never followed me. And the goal is just to farm for new followers, right? Like I'm just trying to get new followers based on the content that I've already posted. So here's an old one that did well. It had almost 1 million views. What's cool is this app that I built. again, just with Claude Code, just with telling it that I wanted to build this, it pulls in that video, it analyzes my content, pulls in the video, and then it pulls in the trending audio that's currently on social media. I can just choose a new audio, and then once I hit approve audio, it builds the file for me, and it sends it to Instagram as a trial reel. It posts it for me. So what used to take me quite a while to evaluate my content and to download and then to pick a new audio, it now takes me 30 seconds to do. Really cool. Just a chance to find new followers from it. All well within Instagram's terms of use. So it's something cool that I built. Another thing that I built is this B-roll text reel where I filmed 20 videos of me, just B-roll footage of me, just looking at the camera, drinking coffee, whatever, doing a puzzle. And then it uses those 5 ideas that I showed you in Claude to automatically create a video for me. So again, it puts the text over on top of this for me based on what I told it to do. It uses those 5 ideas. I can then tweak those ideas since those ideas typically aren't very funny. I render the preview, and then I choose the audio. Takes a little bit to render. There you go. Choose the audio, choose my caption, and then it posts it for me. So that's just a thing that I built with Claude Code that is specific to me, but it is highly effective. And it's not something that it doesn't necessarily come up with its own content. It does, but it's still my hand on it. I'm doing the creative work for it, but it just takes a lot of the time away. And so how does it do that? How do I get AI then to come up with an idea every single day for me? That's a tool called Cowork. And now I know I'm switching back and forth here, but Cowork is, in ChatGPT, it's called scheduled items. But Cowork is something that what it can do is it can create files for you. It can read files in a folder. It can do scheduled tasks. So let's say every Monday you want to check through your deleted items and see anything that seems like it's not spam. It can do that for you. It can run on a schedule. Again, this is part of the premium tier. It can run on a schedule. It can check your emails and say, hey, these look like these might not be spam. Check these out. What do I have Cowork doing for me? I have it checking Sunday Social every week to see if there's any graphics that hey, it says Mother's Day 2026. Mother's Day already passed in 2026. So it says, hey, check these graphics and update them for 2027. It just goes through my whole website every Monday, looks for those, and does that job for me. It's something I would get a summer intern to do, but it does it for me. Really cool. Carousel ideas. What I have it do is I just have it evaluate all of the carousel posts that we've created on the Sunday Social, and it looks for content gaps. Hey, what are some things that should be in our library that are not there? I have it just doing that for me so that we can serve you guys better with Sunday Social. The daily reel recreate picks. This is kind of what I talked about. I downloaded my history of my content and says, hey, just remind me about 2 posts that I posted a year or 2 ago. It runs every day at 7:45 a.m. and it just shows me the videos and I can check them out again. And then this daily reel B-roll ideas. So I have it doing a lot of these things automatically for me. Again, stuff that I would have a summer intern do, but it just does that for me. Really cool. So that's one thing that I built. Another thing that I built is a podcast editor. So what I can do is me and my co-host Jason Young, who we do our podcast together, I built this plugin that automatically edits it based on the way that I want my podcast edited. So as soon as he starts talking and I stop talking, it switches over to his camera. If we're both talking over each other, it shows to a split view. If he pauses for 2 seconds, in what he's saying, and I say, that's a good point, it switches to me for 2 seconds. But if I say, it doesn't switch to me. So it has all this logic. It's not actually run by AI, but it's a tool that I built in AI using Claude Code. Super awesome. Amazing things you can do. I have also built a reel downloader, a screenshotter, and transcriber. So what I can do is I can put a reel into this tool. So it's let's see, Clip Vault is what it's called. So I just paste the YouTube or Instagram URL in there, and then I click download. But what it'll say is before it's downloading, do you want to download screenshots of this? Or do you want to download the actual video? Or do you want to download a transcription of the words that are on there? And I use this for sending out our weekly email of trending topics. I use this for reposting my own content. I use this for sometimes if I'm let's say I'm doing a YouTube video, I'm doing a reel myself about a YouTube video and I want to respond to it, I do that. So really cool things you can do with this. I just built this tool for myself. Might have spent, $10 a month or $10 for a single thing, but it does exactly what I want it to do instead of having to hope that I can find a plugin that does what I want it to do. So that's what I would encourage you to do, is use these tools to build something that helps you keep your team organized. We used to use for Sunday Social, we used to use this tool called Airtable. I just rebuilt it. We were paying $330 a month to use Airtable, and it didn't do all the things that I wanted it to do. So instead, I rebuilt it. So now I can keep track of our season kits. We assign them to a designer. Each designer has a different view. It shows all of our planned season kits, who they're assigned to. It keeps track of all this. This is just a tool I built for us. It runs for free. It's hosted on a remote server, a free remote server. And then what's really cool is we can upload the files through here to our website. So instead of using WordPress, which is our old system, we're switching from that. Instead of using our old system, we just do it all through here. It saves us all time, it saves us all money, and it keeps us all organized. I have a friend who was paying $1,000 a month for a software, for a CRM software, which is like a customer management software. He was paying $1,000 a month for it, and he just rebuilt it in 2 days and now has it for free and has it doing stuff with AI. He has AI integration into it that the other software didn't have. That is exactly what he needs to keep track of his customers. So incredible things you can build. I have another person who rebuilt Basecamp. He works at a church. He has a team that work with him. He basically rebuilt Basecamp for his team, but specific to what they need. Because Basecamp, he's like, I feel like Basecamp is bloated. I feel like it doesn't do the things we do want it to do, and it's trying to do the things we don't want to do. So he rebuilt it. He has password integration. He has all the security built for it, but he just built that for himself. And you can build these things to create structure and organization in your life. So it's not doing the creative work for you, it's doing the messy administrative work for you. And instead that frees you up to do the creative work. So I am just a huge proponent of AI. I feel like AI can revolutionize your world working at a church. I feel like AI can revolutionize what we do on social media. But I really hope this was helpful. This was the workshop. We will be doing these regularly, probably another AI one, because we know AI is a huge topic and things are changing so rapidly, even faster than social media. So AI is changing, social media is changing, so we need to do these regularly. But hope this was helpful for you. If you haven't joined our school, it's called Sunday Social Labs. We're starting a new community, a learning community that is going to help us all learn together. All of these workshops are included in your monthly membership to Sunday Social Labs. You get the community of people that you can bounce ideas off of. You can ask questions. Someone might have already solved the problem that's been stumping you for a while. I highly encourage you, sign up for Sunday Social Labs. It is a premium product. We are charging for it, mainly because we're trying to keep the quality of the community high. And we're going to be doing bi-weekly calls in there where we'll talk about different topics with social media. We want to provide a lot of value to you. So I highly encourage you to sign up for Sunday Social Labs. We'll have the link below, but we will see you at the next workshop.